I'm really thrilled to be here with you today in Tbilisi. And I want to take you on an honest journey of my museum, of my institution, towards accessibility, to remove barriers in a heritage-listed building. So I work for the National Library of Belgium, which also houses a museum recently, and this is our building in the heart of Brussels. And as you can see, it's very grandiose, monumental, but maybe not so very welcoming. And that's what the purpose was when this building was built. It was conceived in the 1930s, in between the two world wars, and then it was finalized in 1969. And the purpose then was really to protect our collection. We have a collection of 8 million pieces that is still growing every day, and many of them are heritage pieces. And since 10 years, I would say, the shift has been to go from looking towards our collections, protecting, having these visible barriers, towards opening up towards our participants and becoming much more inclusive and much more relevant. And 5 years ago, we opened our museum, the KBR Museum, which is about our most precious collection, the manuscripts collection from the 15th century, from the Dukes of Burgundy, who had their palace at this very spot where the building is now. And they had a collection of 900 manuscripts, and of which 300 are still with us today and preserved in Brussels. And one step towards opening more to the public and exposing these beautiful heritage pieces to a larger public was to build this museum. Here is a short 1-minute video, which is actually an introductory video about the museum. Maybe we can, it doesn't work? Okay, no problem, it doesn't work. So maybe you can look it up on YouTube. So basically we explain what the museum is about. The image is a bit blurry, but you can see in the very background one of the Dukes of Burgundy from the 15th century, and we are actually exposing their treasures and their context in our museum. This is our chapel, which is 15th century original from the Dukes of Burgundy, and it's actually inside the building that you saw on the picture before. Let me go back. You won't maybe see it, but it's behind these plants here. It's really encapsulated in the building. And of course, neither in the 15th century nor in the 1960s, accessibility was a big topic. In the museum, we made sure from the beginning to include elements that make this heritage-listed building accessible. But I'm going to take you through different examples of things we have been able to overcome, failures of our part, and also some successes. So why is accessibility in heritage spaces matters? This is our former entrance. As you can see, it's a very monumental stairs towards a gate, which is closed. And it was conceived to tell the public, okay, this is a temple of knowledge. Here are all the important books of Belgium in the 1960s. But of course, stairs are not accessible for all. So when we started to make this shift, one of the first things we did was we moved our entrance from the center of our building to a side entrance. I think the next slide, yeah. So that is our actual entrance now, which is at ground level. Okay, one problem solved. Now the entrance is at ground level. But another problem arises. It's still a very imposing building, and the entrance is now in a corner of a very big square. So it's still quite intimidating for people who have not been there previously or who have an appointment to come inside, even though the doors are open. We are open 7 days a week from 9 to 5, and everybody can come in. But yes, that is still an issue. And accidentally, because the building was constructed in such a way that with the old entrance, when you got up those stairs, you would come immediately to the reading room and the museum space. Now, because it's a side entrance, you have to go to a very long corridor, and it's very hard to find your way all the way to the reading room. So it's a bit of a labyrinth, really. So that is feedback that we are receiving. This is actually a timeline of 5 years of balancing history and modern needs with our KBR museum. So we started conceiving this museum in 2017. And in 2019, we implemented initial accessibility measures. And you saw a picture of the chapel with a ramp, which is for persons with mobility, disability, to be able to go up the ramp. This is an example of one of these initial accessibility measures. And then we opened in 2020, officially, during COVID. And already in 2022, we realized that we are not there yet. Our journey is not finished. We receive visitor feedback. The staff observes barriers and issues that visitors are dealing with. And so we make a reevaluation of our scenography to be able to make it more inclusive. We have an audit that is done of our museum and also our building towards all kinds of accessibility. And in January of this year, we closed to be able to implement the changes that we wanted to make. And we had a second audit in September 2024 and the start of community engagement program. And then in October, one of the building projects that is part of this ongoing transformation started. We are going to build a panoramic lift in our current entrance, which makes the old entrance also wheelchair accessible from the outside. So let's see. These are our early wins. So we started with this moving the entrance. I already talked about this. And we were able to implement a ramp, because here you see this is the before picture. There are only stairs. And here we were able to include a ramp. Both the park outside and the building are heritage listed. So there are some difficulties to overcome because the needs of society and the concern to protect heritage listed buildings do not always go along. Another example, inside. So this is inside our lobby. Here you can see that originally in the 1960s, in this secondary entrance, which was then not the original entrance, there are stairs because our building is built on a hill. And so also inside there are stairs, and we were able to install a ramp here that actually is completely over these stairs, so we could remove it without leaving any trace, which was important for the protection of the heritage. We installed an indoor lift. This is the inside of the original entrance, the one when you take the stairs outside, This is where you would enter through these doors, and then you would have to climb other stairs. So we installed this lift, and this was part of the original KBR museum building project. And here you see two pictures of scenography. This is scenography from an earlier museum project that we had, the Librarium, which was built in the early 2000s. And as you can see, you cannot go under these vitrines with a wheelchair, for example, because it's closed. And so that was feedback that we had, and we made sure in the new vitrines to have the new displays to make them accessible for wheelchairs, like on the right picture. In the museum, the current museum, we have these feeling plates for visually impaired persons and audio. But there are still barriers. This is the outside, and we are adjacent to a big park, this park, which is also heritage listed, with many stairs. And so for a person that has mobility difficulties, you would have to do this whole tour, still to this day, to arrive to our entrance here. We are working with the city of Brussels to find solutions for that, but it's not an easy discussion because of the protection of this park again. Another barrier, here you see the inside of the lobby. It's very tall and all made of stone, basically. So it's quite loud. When there are many people, it's quite loud, and the acoustics are not the best. So for persons who have a disability that has to do with, for example, autism or visually hearing impaired persons, it's not easy to navigate our lobby. Other things, this is the new museum, and the latest audit revealed to us that here these cocoons, where you have to look up to a projection, for people who cannot sit on these, I have to go back. For people who cannot sit on these benches, you basically have to use the whole cocoon and block the entrance for others, which can cause a bit of difficulty for the person to do so. So it was not really designed with that in mind, that maybe not everybody can sit on a bench. And as you can see on this picture here, the lighting is quite low, which is necessary for the preservation of the manuscripts, but it means that people who need high contrast cannot always see this in an optimum way. Another barrier, we thought we did a good job here. It's a toilet for people with a mobility issue. But actually, the audit revealed that there are some things that are missing. This is what it should be. There should be another handle here. There are 5 centimeters missing to be able to rotate completely. So there we tried and we missed. We have to correct this. Here as well, these signs, who are actually on the doors, they are there to make contrast on the glass doors. But the contrast is not enough. You can see that it's white, but actually it should be more like this. So although it's done with good intentions, it doesn't serve its purpose. So what did we learn through this? That navigating preservation regulations is very important, but it's important also to have this discussion about accessibility and why you want to implement this or that, and to really discuss this with the authorities from an early beginning. What others said, start the conversation early. This is also the case here. Budgetary constraints can be an issue. To build an elevator, for example, in a heritage-listed building, it's not something that we can do like this. We need to make our case. Also, the projects that you saw, they were funded not only by the library, but also from outside sources. So the timeline can be quite long. And when you have limited initial input from underrepresented groups, you make mistakes. So it's very important to also there start the conversation early. And do not stop by the first conversations. We had many different audits. Some were commissioned by us, and some of these audits, they were actually initiatives from persons with a disability that said, we want to come to your museum, we want to have a tour there and see what we find. And we will give you our honest feedback. So we still have some projects that are on the way. This is a render, and you can see here, this is actually this lift that I mentioned that will make not only our old entrance accessible from the outside for persons with a mobility issue and also for other persons, and it will also bring the people to our terrace here, which is on top of our roof, and which is actually a beautiful rooftop terrace with views of Brussels, and it's like a haven of peace, but that was actually in the center of Brussels, but very little known to the community. So this is one of our efforts to also engage the local community to say, use this giant space that is here for you with public funding. You can come here, you can use this and be welcome. This is another picture of this lift. One of the concerns here was that because it's heritage protected, it had to be as discreet as possible. So the only thing that will be visible here in the final project will be this, which is like the exit. In our initial ideas, it would be an outside lift that would be outside and very visible, so people could see, that's where I have to go. But this was, we did not get approval from the authorities for that. Other current, so these are pictures of the pieces being removed from the museum to install the new and improved scenography. We will add a tract about music, about polyphony in the 15th century, so that we can highlight this other part of the story, but also to add another sense of hearing, which is now not so very present in the museum. Here are some pictures of renders of the newly prepared scenography that will be installed early next year. And we have our first official outreach program with the community, which is Voices of Brussels. Also to do with this theme of polyphony, of many voices together, and we use this to create a choir, actually, with all people who want to come and want to sing and want to have a good time in our museum. And we let them do their program. So, and they will be featured in the final museum spaces and also in the programming. Another feature is internal processes. We have a group for inclusion and diversity for the personnel. So that's where we started with, this is a screenshot of our intranet. And it's actually, you see, it's from 23, where we started this network inside. And they are focused first on the personnel, but also will go then towards the visitors. And this is our vision, a fully accessible KBR. What you see here is a screenshot of a website for people with a disability, and they rate museums and cultural institutions. And here, for several disabilities, people can see how well this place is adapted to their needs. We have still some work to do here for this one, to do with the toilet that is not up to par. And then here, the orange ones. And for the green ones, we got a good score for this audit. The score is from 1 to 3, yes. So this is bad. Actually, it's not fully adapted. The orange is partially adapted, and the green is suitable. We have another vision that is to be more open to the neighborhood, and this is one of our future projects that is right now just a project phase. We do not have the budget yet to actually build it, and it is to make our building open to the neighborhood at all times. So actually, it's to make sure that you can cross all the way through the building and through the patios, so that the local neighborhood can profit more from our space, and also can cut faster and easier, because we are on a hill. So you do have to go less around, and you can go easier to your place of destination. Another vision is to renew our reading room. We are a library, so reading room is very important, but it has not been adapted since 1969, so there as well, it's our next focus for adapting this to the current needs of society. Some pictures of the library, and more engagement with the community. And that's it. So, my question to you is, what can you do to remove a barrier in your place? Thank you very much.